Well, welcome to another episode of Emerald Paradigm. We hope that you guys are doing well, and thank you for joining us. And our topic today is a very important one that is usually on top, right, of the to-do things when we're evolving, which is meditation. Yes?
Absolutely. It's a gateway.
Definitely a gateway. Almost like a must.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? In order to just a variety of things, to start our spiritual path, to enter into a state of serenity, of clarity, of receiving guidance, insight. The list goes on and on.
There's so many ways to use meditation.
Yes.
And I definitely get some messages of like how to meditate, because it can sound so elusive if you feel like you can't get there for some reason. Like, okay, what am I waiting for? What how am I doing it now? Like, you know, like there, that kind of thing. For me, meditation is something I do on a daily basis. It was something that I was drawn to get into. I'd say like practicing, you know, like on a daily, like, okay, this is like something I do, not something I do when I feel like I need to, kind of thing. During my pregnancy, it was, you know, to kind of help me. I was listening to a lot of hypnobirthing type stuff, which is actually how I found like the ASMR community. It kind of like led me down a rabbit hole there. A YouTube wormhole of, you know, kind of odd stuff, but I really liked it. So that kind of got me into like a more meditative place. And then after my son was born, I continued, you know, doing that more often. For me, I was very spiritual as a young child. My aunt and my grandmother have shared were like very, not this level, but, or my aunt is, my grandmother is more of like a witchy vibe, you know, very herbal, very earthy, that type of energy. And they taught me things. My grandmother about crystals. You know, she wasn't teaching me about, you know, geology, but it was, you know, here's a moonstone ring. Put it in the moonlight. Put it on your windowsill. It will charge your crystal. You know, like just little things like that. And then my aunt was much more about intention and things. So I had this very cosmic-y kind of connection going on. But then, you know, high school happened. Popularity happened or didn't happen. Or you know, all of that. And it just became much more social. Then I started working. So for me to have this place then of when I became pregnant, and you're so at that point about yourself, like about what's going on within you, it's so in a like a different type of introspection. I don't, you know, you're very like wrapped up in it. And for me, I bought some crystals, just like, I'm gonna buy a couple crystals, you know. It wasn't even where I was super into it, and I just started meditating is where I'm trying to get to. And the experiences that I had were like unreal, like where I felt like there were times I'd be like rocking. You ever get that where you're like, you know, like this, and you're like, okay, or your like energy is like spinning around. You're like, whoa, my god, like you really like, you feel like you have to grab onto like whatever you're sitting on.
Did that happen right away, or did that happen gradually? That
happened right away for me once I got, not when I was doing the hypnobirthing kind of meditation, because that was more of a guided meditation, you know, getting in touch with your body, working through the labor, because I wanted a natural birth, you know, so, and I got it, and I was like, oh my god, why did I want this? You know, but like all of that stuff, but this was just for me. And I remember specifically this time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna meditate, and I just got my crystals, and I cleaned them, and you know, nothing big, but just was like, okay guys, let's try it together. And I was sitting on my bed, and behind my bed was a window, so I was like sitting on my bed near where you put your head, but like looking out the window and just kind of facing, and I was getting that spin, and then all like out of nowhere there was a light, this sounds so romanticized, but this like lightning storm like off in the distance, and I was just like, crap, you know, like trying to meditate, but also like very aware that like this was a major thing that was kind of like reawakening in me. So I really credit meditation for like bringing me back around like hardcore. But meditation is a gentle experience, so I don't want to give the impression like, oh, everybody should have a lightning storm approach, and you know.
Well, you know, that's great. I love that you shared that like right off the bat, because again, this is about levels. You know, the Emerald Paradigm teachings have been, you know, for the most part, right, like introducing certain levels so that everyone, wherever you are, can sort of fit
right
in. And you know what? I'll leave my experiences of meditation for the end.
Okay.
But what I want to share of what you said is, yeah, a lot of people, this is a very big challenge for many. You know, the inability to be able to get into that quiet place, all the thoughts, you know, the chatter, you know, I'm restless,
right,
you know.
right.
It's really, really a challenge for a lot of people to enter into that state of, you know, quietness or serenity, or never mind where you experienced, you know. And so we're going to talk about the different ways. And again, as always, there's never a right or wrong way.
We're just two people here, you know.
Yeah,
you know,
and
like there's a lot of perspective.
And in this particular topic, it's about what works best. You know, because there is really no right or wrong way to meditate, and there's many different variations.
Right, absolutely.
Right?
I always try to encourage that for people. I've had people who are on a very spiritual path or you know, meditating, whatever, and they will, I don't say judge, but they want, let's say, their partner to get with them, to be here. And I'll share with them, like, listen, if he loves surfing, that is a meditative act for him. If he is a runner, if he, you know, just wants to go for a drive, there are many ways that we can tap into that wave of meditation. I do think that it's worth trying a few times, even if it's like, okay, it didn't work out this month, I'll try again next month, or something that's like, you know, don't X out the fact that you can meditate anytime. You don't have to be driving or surfing or running or anything like that, or sitting with your crystals, you know, looking out your window. You can do it quickly too, you know, like more of like a, I don't want to say a coping skill, but like as a, like, let me bring it in, let me get in touch with myself. You know, the more you do it and you realize what you're doing, it's a tool that you can tap into when you're having a stressful experience. When you realize there's chaos around you and you need to get in touch with yourself and, like, you know, do the things that we do, which we'll get to through meditation. But or focus too. Like some people, like, oh, I can't close my eyes, I can't hear silence.
I love what you're saying, you know, because it's so very true. Meditation is about being in the moment. And within that moment, to be receptive, you know, to be able to experience a different version of you or the energies that are around you. And you're right, you know, we don't always have to be in the position, you know, of meditative form. We could be golfing. You know, golf is a very fishing. You know, because they enter a space. You know, and within that space, you can receive a lot of guidance. You can get a lot of clarity. You know, there's a lot of releasing that can take place. And so, if there are so many different variations of meditation, do we still, you know, like Lune just said, should we still take the time to sort of sit for a few minutes, you know, in that quiet place? I think
so too.
Yes.
Even if we don't, okay, like, it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't even have to be 10 minutes to start. 1 minute. You know, give yourself a little bit of time.
Yes.
And don't put pressure on it. I often encourage people to invite something in, like a crystal or a freaking Lego or a box of cards or something that, you know, you're not reading it, but you're focused on it, and you're just like, wow, this Lego has 3 holes and it's, you know, very precise or whatever, you know, and you're just kind of like taking it in or getting lost. I love crystals for that, just because they're so beautiful. Many of them that I know are like, the more you look at them, the more you see, you know, so like that can be really beautiful. And like, breathe, you know, take it in, just like,
you know, ironically, I tell people oftentimes to go to YouTube and to look up a 5-minute these are for people who are having you know, difficulties, because it's not necessarily the duration, although, you know what, after a while, when you realize how good it is and how it benefits you, then you know, it almost naturally kind of happens that you want to invest 15-20 minutes, half an hour to meditation, you know. But in the beginning, it's more about getting a flavor and allowing yourself to gently get into that space. So oftentimes I tell people, look up a 5-minute guided meditation.
Guided, yeah. That's a very good way to start.
This way you don't have to think or use your mind to envision. Let someone else do that for you. Create the visual so that you can just be present. And then in time, as you start to engage in that, you'll see that you'll enjoy it, and you may want to do, partake in the meditation without the video.
Right. And you kind of, I think that, I love that, because guided meditations, we think meditation has to be completely silent. And like, yes, there is silent meditation. There is, okay. But when you're meditating, after, for me, like after a certain amount of time, I'm on a journey, whether I'm like up in space or I'm like just seeing this like kind of path unfolding, like that kind of, again, like wormhole kind of look that we get,
Yes.
Or things show up, so I think that the guided meditation is a great place because it allows you to like kind of get in the zone of like, oh wait, it doesn't have to be nothing. It's not about nothing necessarily.
Right. And I love that we're bringing that up. Excuse me, because a lot of people dread that part. Not only do they dread that they have to find their way to a meditative state, but that it's quiet because the chatter, and again, they can't be in a quiet place.
Right.
Especially for people who suffer from restlessness or anxiety, So, a guided meditation is perfect. And by the way, there's many other ways besides, like Lune was saying, an activity, walking. I think a candle meditation.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I love it. For a lot of people who are restless, you can light a candle. Of course, you be discerning and just focus on the flame.
Yeah,
for a few
absolutely.
minutes.
Absolutely.
And if your thoughts wander, it's okay. Come back and become one with the flame, concentrate on the flame. And it's amazing.
Absolutely.
The experiences that you can have with a fire meditation.
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up, because just the other day, maybe it was Friday, we had a candle going here. We had like a little ritual night. And we were all, we had done it, we were chatting, but then we were back and just hypnotized. And I had this thought of, the way we're kind of hypnotized by a screen.
Yes.
Like, I could go to a restaurant, and if there's like even a football game that like I have absolutely no interest in, if there's a screen on, I'm still like my eyes just, But we are that way with fire. If you have a fireplace, a fire pit, a candle, you could just be talking, and everyone in the group will just be like, it's like you're hypnotized by it. And I think that's a primal encoding us to be hypnotized by the flame and by the stars too, I want to say, and the clouds too, and things like that, that kind of take shape or I don't know, have a kind of
I love that
energy.
because the elements, which we know are part of
ocean, the water,
Mother Earth, and part of our own essence, are constantly speaking to us. So I love that you're saying that. And when we engage with the elements, each one of them has something very, very intimate and very purifying, very spiritual to tell us. Fire is, transmutation. It's about passion. It's about awakening. It can be very intense to do a fire, like a candle fire meditation.
Oh, yeah.
Likewise, conversely, we think of the water, right? And it's soothing, it's calming.
Cleansing. I mean, you could say that for any of the elements, right, I guess. But yeah.
You can. They can be used interchangeably. But if we look at them, just like side by side, they sort of each all carry like their very personal.
I love water's like formlessness, how it's adaptable and kind of takes the shape and
the wind,
inspiration,
movement, right, progression, letting go of the past. It's just so interesting. But you can use a candle to meditate. Listen, my best meditation moments are cooking.
Yeah.
Are cooking.
Yeah.
and or listening to music. Just like you were describing that you could get lost in the flame, and I could too. Music does it for me. I go into a zone. Yeah. Whenever I hear music, it could be dangerous. Sometimes I'm behind the wheel.
You're like, whoa, you know? Guy.
Yeah. Or sometimes when I'm administering a healing, you know.
Oh, definitely.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I just leave the individual for a few minutes and go to, you know, a couple of cosmic stops.
Yeah, yeah.
So music.
Brain waves too, like wave music, specifically for me, theta waves. Yes. And you can hear them on their own, and it for some it's off-putting. You know, because like, you know, it can be a little spooky sounding, but they also have it blended into like music, so it's in the background. You know, it's layered.
It's intense, intense. And there it is. You know, sound, the bowls, chimes. We could go in so many different directions. Yeah. And so, you know, plain and simple, here goes. There is no excuse why we should not be able to meditate. And I'm a stickler about this one when I work with people, because I tell them, I constantly hear, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. And I tell them, do you eat? Do you go to sleep? And hopefully you take a bath or shower every day?
Yeah.
And they say yes, and I say, well, these are essentials, yes, and so is meditation.
Yeah.
And I really advocate that because we need to plug in. Yes? If you could have 1,000 appliances, we all do, right, in our kitchen, whatever, right, and right. Guess what? If you don't plug them in, they don't work. You have to plug them in, and that to me is the equivalent of meditation.
Yeah.
You want to be operating, then you've got to plug in.
And it invites also this place then, without even trying, sometimes you lead, like naturally how you kind of want to do it longer, or naturally it gets a little more intense, or maybe you started off very quiet or not really knowing, and then now you're kind of seeing stuff, or, you know, like those kind of things. But for me, one of the highest benefit, I mean, it's myriad, but is like self-reflection too, because, and bringing like, okay, I'm calm, okay, I'm in a place of non-judgment, I'm in a place where I can look at myself and process things. Or sometimes you'll have read a book or seen a movie or had a conversation or had an experience, and your mental mind, your conscious mind, I want to say, it just doesn't know what to do with it yet. Like, it's not like it really made sense or whatever. I didn't know if it was going to stand there too. But when we access, or when we meditate rather, we're accessing the subconscious mind. We're letting it, giving it a time. So even if, let's say, we started a meditation and we weren't really sure, but we could feel we wanted to process something, or even we went to give an invitation and we didn't feel it, but you're like, hey, this is a routine for me now. I meditate, and I'll invite my subconscious mind to process everything that I've experienced today or this afternoon or this week, or, you know, whatever. And that verbal or verbal invitation to the subconscious is so powerful. Like, I'm very big, and one of the books that Blanca recommended to me that I am like, I haven't finished it, because I do this thing with books where, like, sometimes I don't want to finish it because I'm like enjoying it. But the Drambalo, Melchizedek, right?
The Flower of Life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But right from the beginning, I knew this book, like, even beyond you, but the beginning, he talks about the left and the right brain, and understanding that, like, we need logic paired with, you know, like channeling, or the more mystic,
the
more
empathic,
to form a massage kind of channel, which activates parts of our mind that lay in between these halves. And I was like, you got me, like, this is what I'm all about, you know. But like, I had never heard it put that way, you know. And I think that meditation can be so beautiful as a tool to stimulate both sides. Like, so for me, I call it, like, you know, there's left and right, but I also feel like a higher mind and a lower mind. So what I mean by that is, let's say, experiences, books we read, knowledge that we've acquired here, but then combined with this bridge of what we have innately within us, or in our more cosmic or higher self. And I'm just like, I love this, you know?
You got buzzed just now. Well, first of all, that's a buzzing book, which is very high dimensional.
Yeah.
You know, so not everyone could just dive into that book. Surely you could, be
everyone would get something, but
just
it is a bit.
Be gentle with yourself because it carries a lot of activations. It's a deep book, but I love what you were saying about the subconscious, because there it is. We need to we need to connect with the subconscious and almost give it permission. Give it permission and acknowledgement. Hi, I know that you're there. Because a lot of times what happens is when we say the term asleep, it's because we're only operating from the conscious space, which is this
so those
out
who are
here.
not awakened, those who are asleep.
Right.
Not like dreaming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. The outside chatter, the conditioning, the patterns, the beliefs, the this, the that. And in the subconscious mind is where your natural essence is, your highest state. And it has a lot of information. Wow, I just got a vertigo just now. Yeah, just talking about it. I just felt my whole body just go, that was weird.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah. Where the marriage, right, then becomes pivotal in being able to be balanced.
Right.
Yeah. In both spaces.
In both, yeah. We can say, and there's certainly an argument to say like, oh, the subconscious mind is the true mind or the more powerful, and like, yes, it is like the heavy duty bulldozer, whatever. But without direction or even invitation to, hey, you figure this out.
The invitation.
Hey, you whatever. Then you're in that regard, your conscious mind is the more powerful one, because it's the one that has the awareness in the moment to decide. So for me, let's say like meditation, driving, right? Let's just use that as an example, or any form of meditation. But specifically, when you have a problem, how many of you have experienced? You're working something out, you're thinking, but when you're driving, it comes to you, right? And that's what meditation can be so useful for. And if we're talking then to our subconscious mind through that experience, there are times where I don't know what to do, and I'm like, I'm going to assign this to my subconscious mind. And I'll just say that, subconscious, this is you. I know you'll give me that inspiration or that insight or that clarity, and I'm going to go about doing something a little more mundane that my conscious mind is not going to get all, crazy about, It's like, all right, let me clean this, or let me go do this thing that I got to, or whatever, So I think that for me, that part of meditation is something that we don't really talk about enough. It's like, meditate, it's good for you, and it's like, well, no, it's like really powerful.
It is very powerful. It is probably one of the most powerful tools of transformation, I believe, besides the conscious choice to release, like radical forgiveness, emotional cleansing. That's almost like the external conscious choice. But the subconscious, while plugging in through meditation, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
And so from a light spectrum, we could say it's calming, it allows you to focus, it helps with anxiety, bringing attention, direction and focus. It's just good for sleep.
Yeah, you can look it up and you'll see
everything.
Lists on what it's known to be beneficial for. Absolutely.
From the anatomy of the body, many books have been written about the fact that it can regulate blood pressure. It can impact the organs in a very positive way. Insomnia and all these things. Spiritually, it opens gateways. It opens gateways. When I started to meditate, I was empathic all my life. I just didn't know it as a child. I used to have, what my parents called night terrors. But I would speak with people and have conversations and, go to places and to the point where they took me to a psychiatrist because they thought something was wrong. And of course, at that point, I shut myself down because I thought something was wrong.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, spirit came knocking later, and then it came knocking again later. And my peak time was when I had my son. It's funny how you brought up, right? You used it for delivery.
Yeah.
I used it while I was home. I decided to stay home and, you know, be a mom for Jonathan. And I was bored. Plain and simple, I was bored. And one day I decided to try this meditation, and I was successful in my very first time to make contact with my guardian angel. I became obsessed. And that obsession paid off greatly, because many, many years went into many deities, many cosmic beings, many angels coming to teach me. And that's the truth. I never had a physical teacher, but I had plenty of cosmic teachers. And so I spent hours and hours a day meditating, and I was addicted to it because it was a way where I could leave my body and leave this realm, you know, to a point where I was actually yelled at by the thought for going too far, you know, out of my body. Yeah, you know. So for me, I don't even meditate these days, enter into a state of meditation. I'm a walking meditation. And I say that humbly but boldly. I'm a walking meditation. I cannot sit and because I will leave.
Right.
However, the years, and what I want to say to the initiates, who are the ones who are hungry, is, oh my goodness, you know, delve into there, because it is the greatest opportunity for our guides and whatever cosmic teachers are going to come in to do so.
Right.
Is when we are in a state of meditation.
Absolutely. I just did that the same, like very similar. I love your connection, like how you have that connection. I don't connect with beings, like I not often, you know, I might get like guidance for sure, or messages, but my connection is always much more self, but also just like everything, like individual and like everything. So it's kind of like that. Not to say I haven't had experiences, I certainly have, but not on your level, certainly not like that. But one of the things that I've been doing recently, more so recently, I should say, because I'm looking to advance in certain areas of my life, specifically just to be continuing to be a more effective healer, a more effective person doing what I'm doing. You know, we're out here, we're shining our light, but we still have work to do ourselves. So, you know, in addition to my reading, in addition to all the things that I do, I'm using meditation as a tool for certain activations. So I was meditating yesterday and just like asking my higher self or you know, whatever else I am a part of, you know, I don't want to get all into my personal meditation stuff, but you know, just asking to be activated for this goal, you know, and if I'm ready, you know, I think that we have to kind of, you know, I always feel like I'm always the devil's advocate, but when we have these experiences, like for me, let's say I want to increase my ability to be an effective healer, like just very simple. It's coming from a place of love. It's not like I'm gonna be the top shit, you know, like it's not that, but I just want to be the best I can be, you know, for everyone. So for me to do that, I also like to include when I come out of it, or even sometimes before, in my intention on, and let me put that into practice. It's not just a I don't want to ever call any of it a facade, but if I think like, okay, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to get an activation tonight, and then I wake up, I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm better. Like, although I do believe in, you know, all is mind, I can't lie to myself and authentically feel, let's say, that I might have had that experience. So again, like that invitation to the subconscious mind, or that invitation to those angelic beings or insights or teachers, and it's not to say it doesn't happen, but I would say, like, let's use some what do you say, how do you say that, some discernment and like an honest look at like not why we might be asking for that, because like we know why, but is it assimilated yet? You know, like maybe,
I see what
you know what
you're
I'm trying
saying.
to say, like before I come out here and I'm like, oh no, Sorry, guys, I just got activated now.
That's such a great topic. That's a great observation that you just brought up, and I totally get what you're saying.
It's hard to put into words.
So we start with, is it beneficial? Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
However, do we really realize, I think this is what you're saying, that when we open ourselves up, we really are opening ourselves up to receive a surge of energy, of insight, of calibration, of activations and this. And that is a process.
Right.
And so it doesn't mean that, oh, well, you know what, it's going to take 2 months, so I shouldn't meditate again. You should meditate every day to make the connection. However, and I totally resonate with what you're saying, because what you're saying, I'm going to flip it back to my experience. I remember those many years that I meditated with these deities, and I would constantly say, like, I don't know what you're teaching me. I don't know what you're talking about. Or like, oh, I don't understand. Because a lot of times I knew I was in their presence, but it wasn't a conversation like this, right? Yeah. So I knew I was assimilating, but I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And my feeling was like, I don't get any of this. But today, when I am in front of the beloveds, the many books I've written, or the many classes I teach, I know that is all now harnessing and now being
because it's coming
channeled.
Out. Right. It's like the filing cabinet. It's a download, perhaps, but it might not be like in the forefront of your mind right off the bat, where I wake up or come to and I'm like, oh, I got this new technique. I mean, that can happen. Like, I don't want to say that can't happen. That certainly does. But I mean, like, that's not what I'm looking for.
Yes.
I just want it to come out in my work. And be, let's say, the evidence of, if I...
And I love both of the things you're saying. First, that it's going to come out in your work, and that you're actually using it, deliberately, so that it can be reflected on your work. I love both of those things. And you're right. The assimilation of that may take a while, so we shouldn't judge what the outcome of a meditation, session.
Right.
Because you have no idea what you've assimilated in that session of meditation, and how it's going to unfold or reveal itself at a later time. Right. And it will. If you're open, if you're receiving, if you're willing to receive.
Right. Yes? It's not like I'm meditating to be calmer, or to be this person so that I can attract this person, or whatever. I'm waking up and being like, I'm saying waking up, but that's what it feels like to me. Like, okay, I'm back. Like, it feels like sleeping sometimes, I have to say.
I'll tell you what, you just triggered something else, and I thought this was going to be a little shorter, but this is a vast subject.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, what I'd like to add to that, and again, my personal experience is what I teach, to be mindful that you consciously bring, because we're talking about the subconscious keeping a lot of that data.
Right.
Download, for whenever you're in front of somebody, if you're a healer, when you're healing somebody. However, your conscious also received something. And it's interesting how a lot of people meditate, and as soon as they're done, they're
back in that.
Freak you! You know what? I hate freaking people, and I hate this, I hate that, and like, don't bother me with it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they stepped out of the space that they just created within them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. There has to be an intention, in a sense, to carry it.
Right.
Carry it forward.
And so while we can't walk around as a walking meditation, although I often do, but to be able to be conscious that you were just in a state, there's not this is what I say, there's no on and off switch.
Right.
And so while you're not, like this, all the time, once you stop, what you experienced should be part of your day.
Right.
And your conscious awareness. We don't have an on and off switch button. And the reason why you shouldn't have an on and off switch button, or think you should have one, is because what's the sense? And you can't even clean that one up. What is the sense to connect if you're not going to integrate? Integrate is the word. Then what you received, what you experience into your everyday life.
Right. And
don't waste your time.
Right. And even if it is the experience of just being relaxed, like it doesn't have to be like, you know, this like very high ascended experience. It could be relaxed. I was relaxed, I was patient, or I was just
understanding, okay, more loving.
And then, you know, you're driving loving. And you get cut off and you're like, yeah, exactly. And you're like, right. You know, it's like, well, you know, remember you were just connected. You were just in with everybody else. You were in that space.
And that's why I use the plug scenario, you know, analogy, because we plug in, but we don't necessarily have to plug out, even though we're not in that state anymore. You know, the goal is to be able to carry. It's almost like eating food. You eat food and, you know, in 5 minutes it's gone, right? And yet it's still working through you, it's your digestive system, sending it all over your body, right? It doesn't stop because you finished eating.
Right. Well, that's...
And meditation... I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Meditation ideally works in the same fashion if we recognize it and allow it to work in that way, that fashion, if we allow it.
Absolutely. I think that, and again, like the more we do it, we can, it's like you said, it's not on and off, but sometimes you are in your car and somebody cuts you off, or you are like I was a few videos ago where I had that experience of just being like surrounded by chaos, and I was like, wait, let me pull it in, let me get in myself, and let me send out my Buddha wave thing. Like, you can tap into that so much more easily. It's like,
yes.
You know, like that's what I'm trying to say. So,
oh yes, one of the first things I teach clients when they come here is the connection to the breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. And to me, it is the most powerful thing I could give anyone who walks in. Share it with you today. And it's simple. It is a form of meditation, and I tell them this is something that is with you forever. The inhalation of breath is prana, which is high vibration, cosmic vibration, godly vibration, whatever we want to call it. And the exhalation is the physical breath, but also a release, right? And so it's also what keeps us alive, because, right, if we weren't breathing prana, then we wouldn't be in the physical body, And so, knowing this, we can tap into the breath, and just a few seconds, a minute or two, in the car, in a stressful moment at work, it doesn't matter where, home, and just tap into our breath, knowing that that inhale is cosmic energy filling you. The exhale is the cleansing source that's now purifying you. And all of a sudden, in the moment, you have a healing mechanism available to you right now. Not having to call a healer, not needing to pick up a book. It is with you all the time, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the immediate effects, yes? Do you private breathe?
I do. Breathing? I definitely do. And very much in my practice, I find myself, like, without even trying, where you're just like, you know, like, you can't, like, blow this away. Like, people are like, why do you do that? You're like, you know, like, but yeah, it's very, for me, at this point, it's more of a feeling. But I love what you're saying, especially as like a more, I don't want to say introductory, but like as a initiating tool.
It is. As an introductory, it could be very.
And it's paired with a visualization. It's paired with the thought of acknowledgement of the prana versus the...
Without a doubt. You know? That's what makes it powerful.
Exactly.
Because, and by the way, it's a visualization that's real, by the way, because... You know, the science, and I love the science of spirituality, at least I see it as that, is if we knew we wouldn't be in the body if we didn't breathe. So right off the bat, it is including a source into the structure. The other side of that is that when we're stressed or anxious or angry, guess what? We're not fully breathing. We're not exhaling, which is why we feel tight, why we feel anxious.
Yeah.
You know, we're not taking a full breath. It's almost like we stop. And so when we think of all of these dynamics, we can only imagine then why the practice of pranic breathing. And we don't have to do it for a long period of time, by the way. Although I do have to add, because we are introducing it, that this is something that you can do at any moment, but not for more than a minute. Because pranic breathing in longer periods of time can actually make you light, very light. You know, like be a form of meditation. And if you're not doing it properly, then you can hyperventilate, or you know, you can become a little lightheaded. Right. So this is deliberate breath.
Deliberate. And pranic breathing is a bit deeper, I would say. It's like filling, you know, filling
holding
the space. So in that capacity, you could practice a minute of pranic breath.
Minute. That's all you really need to do.
Deliberate breathing.
Yes.
That's I'll say comfortable, natural. Like,
but
just
still
awareness.
Being present. By the way, we don't have to take the very vast inhale that I take or exhale that I just demonstrated. Even in your normal inhale and exhale, to acknowledge, as Lune said, I'm taking in new energy, which you are. And my exhale as I breathe out is release.
Right.
It's letting go, you know, and connecting with the movement that is surely taking place. Right. Because that is where the subconscious and the conscious mind click. So if the conscious mind is this is very, you know, it's like food. If the conscious mind is feeding fear, you know, or you know, some kind of fearful experience that's creating now anxiety, or it is then in introducing the subconscious, which is the breath and the acknowledgement of the source, that's gonna bring balance into that very physical, you know,
that's
experience.
such a good point, because like, you know, one of the things when you started talking about breath is I right away thought how like most of us, you know, we just breathe. I'm not like okay, well, please, like you know, it's unconscious.
It is,
you know,
and that's it. We take for granted that, you know, and by the way, it's the most natural thing, we breathe, you know, and yet do we stop to really be the observer? And again, this is the part this is the food that I love, you know, the observer. What's keeping you alive? It's a source. And that source is what? Outside of you? Or is it you, because the outside really is the body? And what will happen now if you became aware of it and engaged with it? What will happen? You will become evolved, awakened. You will be able to be in touch with your divinity. And now you're at a place where you can tap into your manifestations.
Right, I love that.
Into your goals, into your desires, into everything.
And release comparison, release, you know, the things that make us feel like, you know, of course we're all on levels, we're all learning different things, like we can't deny that, you know, from a, you know, general perspective. But, you know, if you're, let's say, oh, I want to be here, but I'm not here, or this person, or just those kind of complicated things that make us feel disconnected or less than, or disempowered, or anything like that. Just remembering that we're all connected to the same source, even if you're just looking at it as the breath, you know, like beyond labels, beyond, you know, whatever. It's energy, and we're all in need, or, you know, tapped into the same source, and we have the same process, you know. So I really like that.
You know, and I think that meditation also leads us, for those who are inspiring to, you know, grow more spiritually, to, you know, the mediumship skills, empathic skills, healing skills, all of that. And why I say that is because a lot of times when people start to meditate, they usually incorporate journaling, we hope, as well.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
You should.
That's a great tool for that.
Yes. And how that's incorporated is you want to make a little entry. It doesn't have to be long. It could be a sentence. I meditated today. It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I felt peaceful. Oh, today I meditated and I felt one of my guides.
Mm-hmm.
Etc., etc. What happens is that now your journal becomes a ally partner with your meditations. And before you know it, you can either start channeling through your journal writing and or you can start finding, believe it or not, the answers that you're seeking in your journal. And I used to teach this years ago and people would say like, what? What do you mean? And I would say, if you go back to your journal entries, you will see that many of journal entries you were giving yourself guidance. And sure enough, they would go back and say, oh my God, I was this and that.
Very similar to a dream journal there, Exactly. In a dream journal, the act of writing down your dream creates a stronger ability to remember your dreams as well. And I love that you're saying that with meditation. I never really thought of it that I definitely I don't write down every single meditation, to be perfectly honest. I definitely don't. But when I have an experience, I get out that special journal that has like that gold edging on the pages, this is my thing, and
and
the
it should be
date
special. I love that you're saying that because it shows reverence for the work that you're doing and that you have reverence for it. And just like we would stop and give ourselves, get a facial or massage because we love ourselves and that's wonderful. We're not talking expensive. We're just talking about special.
Special, yeah.
That it's important to us that we recognize the importance of our, whether it's our journal or our meditation journal, and now see it as a vehicle by which we're going to connect. Now start opening other doors. As I said, we could start channeling, or certainly our journal becomes this important map. I'll never forget. One day I'm going to write my bio, my autobiography, but I used to journal write just as much as I meditated. And some of the most incredible experiences and validations that I've received have been right out of my journals. From, you're going to write books, to, or everything that I'm doing, And at the time when I was receiving this insight or guidance, I could not even fathom how any of that was going to be possible. But it was. And it also, the journal writing was also a great instrument to me to connect with thought. My very first experience came when he came through as an Atlantean, and I remember suddenly automatic writing through my journal and saying like, who's talking and who is this person? Who is this? And, and here we are, right? And so I just see them so hand in hand.
They are very supportive of one another, for sure. And for you as a tool, as something to,
as a vehicle, as a tool.
Too, that how you put that, although it was, I'll call it channeled or a download to get it out, to put it onto the journal. At the same time, you can see that as like that was the first form of that the manifestation took was your record of it. It's like having something that comes forward. Not to say that like, if you have a bad experience, you have a bad dream, you're writing a dream journal, you're manifesting. I don't mean that, but like when it comes to this kind of stuff, this like very like, what? Oh, okay, like I'll make a note, but I mean, like that kind of thing. That
it can be very profound. The revelations and the connections, like I said, because on a subconscious level, what we're really doing is giving permission for our higher self, our true selves, to really reveal themselves, itself, and to start opening those portals to other dimensions that will assist us in making that connection. And so I guess a simple way of looking at it is, a profound way though, is that meditation, journal writing, and these practices are doorways. Mm-hmm. And that each time we incorporate them, we're energetically opening doors. Mm-hmm. You know?
Mm-hmm. I have a acquaintance who's in one of the Reiki share groups that I go to. He's a great guy, like older guy, but whenever I go to a singing bowl night or we do Reiki together or anything, this is an individual who like he's snoring right away, like he's out. And there's a kind of, I don't want to say problem, but for him, you know, because it's an experience, like we know each other, or, you know, whatever, so I'm saying this with love, but he's like ready to go almost. Like he wants to be out of his body is what I'm trying to say. And there's work that he still needs to do. Like there's something he still needs to do. So I don't want, again, like I'm always like the devil's advocate, but although I think that there's no harm obviously from meditation, anything that we do that is an escape for prolonged periods, I'm not saying coping. I'm not saying that kind of escape. I think that there's a beauty in having a situation that you're like, I can't deal with this situation. This is the best thing. I honor that so much. But when it's escaping in a, like the way that like a drug helps us escape, you know what I'm trying to say? Yes. Like a disconnection that is not helping us to work through when there isn't an obstacle here that we need to get over beyond that's in us. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
and you know, again, I have to celebrate you for bringing that up, and I'm thinking of one of my pillars, Sionora, who was so instrumental to me when I was evolving, because yes, to what you're saying, when I learned how to tap out of my body, I looked like some kind of dopey, you know, like I would be like my eyes rolled up, you know, turned over.
You can't sleep in here, lady.
Well, I wasn't even asleep. I was just like consciously gone. And Sionora would, you know, push me, start moving me, and feed me, which is why to this day, you know,
everybody brings you
ring things, and all of my tellers bring me food, because food is a way to come back into the body for me. But I totally get what you're saying, and what, you know what? And even I'm not going to make excuses. Was I escaping? Yes, I knew that there was a way out of the body, you know. But I hear what you're saying, that we can use it also as an escape. So anything too much of a good thing could even be, you know, not too good. We need to be mindful, right, that, because it is an amazing feeling.
Absolutely.
But I love that you brought that up, because it is about, again, the balance between the subconscious and the conscious, which also means that what we receive during those states is to be then incorporated in our,
to be grounded,
physical lives,
to be brought down. Absolutely. And I think that, you know, we could talk to grounding, but like you should be grounded, you know, like you should, when you come back, like move around, stomp your feet, eat a cookie, do something, hit your drum, rattle, like something that you feel grounded by, because it is about bringing it down. It is about the balance. It's not, you know,
you're saying something again beautiful. I'm so glad you brought that up, because again, I remember being yelled at by Sionora because I wanted to remain in that space. And I started to experience a lot of physical issues, ironically, when I was at Nirvana. And she would always say to me, you're not supposed to keep all this energy. You're supposed to share it. And that was the thing. I was being selfish in that nirvanic state. I didn't want to be bothered with anybody. I wanted to stay in this amazing, beautiful space. But she was absolutely right. And the whole reason as we progress onto those higher levels is that we are supposed to share that energy. You know, we're given so much because we're not supposed, the goal of being given so much is not so that we could float around and disappear.
We will have that access again, you know?
But to become the outflow of our chalice, of all that we have, to then be able to share with others and let that be, you know, fuel for others to be inspired by, to be fueled by, right? So yes.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we could, and just being mindful, we're talking and joking about readings and stuff, but it's not. Food is grounding. Barefoot, like after meditation, it's like you don't want to leave that space, but we should in order to harness the energy. And so dancing, tribal music, drumming, barefoot in the ground, wild food, like I call it, like grain, beans,
berries even, or something.
Singing, making love, all of these things are very grounding.
Yeah.
And help you harness that energy so that you're not floating around.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. Like, I get it,
Right.
like I certainly get it, but it's just so much more powerful to like create from there, or to share, to act from there. And it helps to keep it coming too, because I don't want to say that like, oh, let's say if you didn't share that you would be cut off, but maybe you would. Maybe, like we did a video recently on the physical body. Yes. Maybe then your physical body would be like, listen, we can't take all of this, like you're saying.
I was really feeling a lot of pain in my neck and the medulla, my shoulders, all of this.
The higher chakras.
And my pillar said to me, like, you're doing all... I would go in my office and meditate. I would go through a portal, Egypt. I would go to many places. Egypt, to my pyramids. I mean, go there. I would run away. And I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
And she reminded me and taught me that this had to be harnessed, and that's why my body was speaking to me the way it was. Yeah. Because you're not supposed... It's impossible to really contain all of that cosmic energy without... It's not meant to be that. We could literally leave the body. The intention, the highest intention, is to be able to share it. Through work, through healing workshops, whatever way, creatively, through books. YouTube videos.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And that brings into, like, when we were talking about, even if you're in a space and it's, chaotic and you're trying to, like, align yourself, traffic, this, that, Target, wherever. But by bringing that in and connecting through even this, like, gentle meditation, because obviously I'm standing online or I'm driving my car. I'm not, like, zoned out, but, like, I'm channeling. And that's what I'm doing. Yes. I'm channeling my meditation then. It's not even just to balance myself. I might address that first, let's say. But then it becomes something that, I'm like consciously sharing with other people. Even if, they don't see anything.
It's like discovering this safe place that becomes very vitally necessary to tap into in our every ordinary day-to-day life. And like Lune is saying, we don't need, once we have really tapped into that space, we don't have to close our eyes. Like I said, I feel like I'm a walking meditation. I go in there willingly, like without any effort. And I'm sure that you probably can as well. You just said, right? It becomes effortless, and yet a very important place that we should have available to us as we're moving through the challenges and the ebb and flow of life. It's a powerful act to be able to connect that way. And everyone can do it. It's not we've been doing it for so long kind of thing. It may not be to the magnitudes, we always cover from A to Z here immediately. And then again, who knows? You had an experience in the first time. I had an experience. And by the way, that shouldn't be the goal either. Right. To, I want to have an experience, or I want to go in there with no expectations, but to know that this is going to be an amazing contribution and nourishment. Right? Right. And even if your thing is to relax, like something very, very gentle, I'm going to do a relaxing meditation, but knowing now that this is something that you can channel and share with other people. So even if in your intention of meditation, let's say if we get, you want to be a healer too, you're connecting to that source of, okay, relaxing my breath, I'm connected, I'm in the moment.
Now let me share it. And all it has to be is the thought of sharing, or the thought of wanting to help, let's say, that really kind of starts to move it too, to keep it like very simple, I guess, you know, like.
By the way, you know, a lot of the shamanic work that is being done around the world now, it just kind of prompted me to realize that is, well, shamanic work is so very sacred and balancing. But one of the reasons why the shamanic work is again in the forefront, because it usually is hidden, you know, right? Yeah. You know, not hidden, but, you know, not out so out like the way it is now, is because there is so much cosmic influx of so many activations, of so many people being open, of so many people, you know, tapping and drawing it down, that the shamanic work is necessary to ground it, to harness it, you know? Yeah. And so a good balancing act to, you know, to meditation, of course, is also shamanic work, you know, and of course.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I had a great experience with that, just coming from my Reiki practice and then stepping then into like the shamanic realm was like really like brought everything together. It's actually kind of hard for me to talk, like teach Reiki without being like, well, you know, like a little taste, not like, well, you know.
It's the perfect marriage, because this is all very fluffy and very beautiful and very divine. But this, without this,
it's not here. It's not us.
Exactly. It's not here. It's then somewhere that we have to run to or escape to, where when we, you know, introduce this part, the earth part, now we have that move, that perfect infinity, you know, or kundalini move up, down, and balanced. It's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect when you have both.
Yeah,
you know.
And I see a lot of for me then too, that grounding leads to more physical or material manifestations. So if you're working to, let's say, grow your business, you know, let's keep something like that, without, you know, you could do that as cosmically as you like, and, you know, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but without that grounding and mother matter energy, that's where the money, like, you know, the money energy, the material energy, the business, you know, the practical, the people you meet, like, that's where that is.
You're saying that because if you really take it to those deep levels, you know, the cosmic energy is the insemination, and the Mother Earth is the womb. Right. And we all know we need both, right? Right. You know, and so we need the ground in order to bring it to birth, you know, into fruition. Right. And so while this is, again, holy and divine and many things can happen, we need to filter it, harness it.
Because that's what it's about here. That's the game here, you know, quote unquote. Like, that's what we're doing here, you know. That's why we're here, to create a better place, to create the life that we want through our heart's fulfillment and all, you know, all of those things. So I don't want to put it into like completely material, you know. Of course we're sold, of course we're gonna, this is temporary, we're gonna move on from here, we all know that, you know. There's no denying that. I think that there's an apprehension, is what I'm trying to get to. I think there's sometimes an apprehension of like, oh, but I'm cosmic. Oh, but this, my true self is my soul. It's not my body. Like, yes, like, we're not disagreeing with that. But here in this lifetime, we have to honor that this is why we're here. For the interaction, for the lessons, for the experience itself in general, you know? So, you know, it's our vehicle, it's our happiness, quote unquote, you know, to...
You know, you just reminded me, and we'll never end this, so I'm going to start pulling the oracle cards as I say this. But interestingly enough, you know, one of the things I hear also when people are having difficulties meditating is that they're afraid that they're going to leave their bodies. So how ironic that, you know, we have some who want to leave, like, goodbye, you know.
Come back.
Right. And then there are others who are afraid and won't allow themselves to get to that next step. And what I would say to those people, if you happen to be one of them, is to be gentle with yourself, but hopefully from our sharing that you're inspired to know that it's perfectly okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. It is kind of funky sometimes when we have those feelings that we're literally not in our bodies.
Right. Or spinning. Or you find yourself kind of like rocking or whatever.
You know, we're somewhere else and there's other beings speaking to us. But there's something so loving about it that if you allow yourself, you will return.
Right.
Back and back.
And I don't think that would happen unless you were ready for it. Right? Like, you might not understand it, but you would be ready for it. I don't, right?
But, you know, a lot of people, those degrees, yes. But, you know, a lot of people stop themselves because they do start to feel the drift of the body, which is a natural state. Once you learn how to relax, you're just going to feel almost like, you know, like you're hovering maybe a little above, you know, like, and you're going to have like this feeling that maybe you're not in the body.
Like as you're falling asleep. And
kind of,
like, you know, when your leg kicks, you know, and you're like, ugh!
Some people are just really afraid of that because they feel that they're not going to be able to return.
Right.
You know? And so, anyway, we could go on and on and on and on. And so we want to be conscious of the fact that, you know, we want to keep the discussion tolerable. Yes. We have a beautiful deck for our oracle. It is the Goddess's
Knowledge cards. They were in my office. They're so pretty. A friend gave these to me. They're just really beautiful. I just love the images. They are very feminine, I will say. Archetypes, in a sense, they're certainly there. But what I love about these is that, you know, I'm not super familiar with every single goddess. You know, like I know, you know, some, but like it's an acquiring of connections. So I love that these have some info on the back, so it's not like you're just, you know, like I like that. I appreciate that when it's so
They're
specific.
Absolutely beautiful. They have a Avalonian type of energy to them, I think. Yes. Well,
yeah.
I can't even look at them.
Here,
okay,
you go first then.
Yes.
Yeah, here.
Okay. And so let's see.
Trying to spread them out.
Let's see. So. Okay. Oh, very, oh, I can't even pronounce her.
Persephone.
Well, I'm not familiar with her, so I'm gonna just
go with
really
the picture.
Go with the picture because, wow, I feel like such structure here, discipline. I feel determination in that card. I don't know why. Readiness. Almost like putting a plan in motion and then saying, on your mark, get set, go, kind of thing, you know? I'm almost curious. And I can't even see even with my glasses. Can you?
I'll read it, right?
Yeah.
Although Persephone is best known as Demeter's daughter, the maiden who was abducted by Hades, lord of the underworld, the Greek version of her myth reflects the usurpation of female mysteries by a patriarchal mythology. In this version, Persephone personifies the core, the maiden aspects of the goddess. There's a lot more, but just to give you like a...
I feel great strength here. And so, you know, since we like to tie everything to the topic, I hope that you were inspired, determined, you know, just take some of the tools that you resonated with and get yourself ready to go and get this started, you know, because you can do it.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I feel
agree.
a lot of readiness in
right.
that card.
I feel like there is a, with her, I think that she, in the story, she was like captured and like kind of held for ransom, something like that. But that's what it is. It is the readiness. It is the perseverance. It is the
perseverance.
You know, that's I think what it feels like. It's like not limiting yourself and understanding too that limitations can be uncomfortable. You know, like forced things can be uncomfortable. You know, so it's not about forcing and it's not about limiting. I'll leave it out. But I don't know. That's kind of what I get from it. But, you know.
Powerful card.
Oh yeah,
I feel a lot of energy.
Them, very much come
very
through.
energy. Like a very powerful energy coming.
And there's like a hope or like a just connected trust, I want to say. Or
now that you bring out that she was, because I was just reading it off the energy, that she was incarcerated, there's great determination about, she knows she's getting out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't know, but yeah, a great determination. I'm going to get out of here, you know? Yeah.
Hera, ancient goddess who, before she appeared as wife to Zeus in Greek mythology, was powerful queen in her own right. Oh, beautiful! I didn't even look at it yet. The peacock feathers. So for me, the peacock just speaks to, or just in general, the theme of this, like, draped in these kind of like cosmic wisdom, third eye kind of garbs here. Here, I'll bring it in a bit. Is the guidance, is like being cloaked by wisdom, being cloaked by like this high connection. It's so funny because we had a little ritual night here and I brought peacock feathers for everyone, and our tribe is quite funny, you know, so they all stuck them in their head and they had this like Dr. Seuss like high like up here, but it was very meaningful. Like, it looked very symbolic to have this like high connection. You would have the peacocks, right? How funny, right?
And you pick out the peacock cards.
Yeah, and I just see like how it is, though, that wisdom, whether we see it as, you know, higher beings or just insight and inspiration and, you know, processing activations, it becomes part of you, and it's felt and it's seen without even necessarily, like, you don't have to tell people it's there. You know what I mean? Like, you're not like, oh yeah, well, I meditated and I got this, you know, activation, and so now I can do this. It's like, no, it's like, it's a badge almost, like a
I
you know
love that you're saying badge, because that's kind of what I'm feeling in the card. I feel almost like, you know, I think it was in the previous discussion that I said something to the effect of, you know, this not needing to be a student anymore. You know, we could sometimes take that, you know, to an extreme and just want to learn more and not take that next step.
Right.
Or not take that next step to, okay, you've learned enough, now let's put this into practice, right? And I kind of feel that from this card, like, honor what you've done for your growth. You know, everything counts. And you've accumulated a lot of wisdom, and now it's time to recognize that, to honor it, you know,
to be adorned by it,
to feel graced by it, you know. There's never anything of arrogance when, you know, in these high stature cards, symbols, or messages. It's more about a grace of, I'm here, you know, or I'm arriving, right? You know, and knowing that that's okay, because the greatest achievement that we can have here is to be awakened in embodiment. And so to feel that that's arrogant, well, it depends on what we're being, you see? But the goal is to be in that place of grace and embodiment while we're still in the body, because we are that when we're not in the body. Right. You know?
Absolutely.
And so that's a beautiful card. I love that.
Aren't they
I feel
gorgeous?
Shamanic wisdom there, like elders.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
they're really gorgeous.
Well, and so we hope that you enjoyed, you know, we enjoyed these conversations more and more as we go along. And we're really grateful that that you're with us, that you're supporting us. We love the comments. We love the interaction, you know, and we're really grateful for that. Yes, we look forward to, you know, sitting down and having these discussions and then sharing them with you. Do you know that we're almost at, we're 1,900 subscribers?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes.
Cool.
And so we want to thank you again for supporting us. And the way you encourage us to keep going. Yeah. Do certainly, it's a passion, it's a calling, but if no one's picking up the phone on the other end, it's not like you're going to keep calling, right? You know, like right. Yes. Exactly.
Or I'm not going to bake cookies for everybody who doesn't eat them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So.
And you know what? We appreciate that you showed up and that you keep showing up, because you're right about what you're saying. You know, Lune and I, prior to this project, we're extremely busy. And we were called. It was a calling to put these discussion, the Emerald Paradigm, together amidst our crazy busyness, right? Yeah. And we honor that because, you know, we knew that the calling was because there was going to be a platform for it.
Right.
And you are that beautiful platform. So we really are grateful. And we will continue to show up here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, as always, we leave you with our love, with our light, and with our peace. We love you very much. Until next time, love ya.
Bye.
Love you.